Dana Loesch is the host of Dana on the Blaze TV and a Radio America talk show host. And Richard Fowler is a nationally syndicated radio show host. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Good to have you here tonight.
Good morning. Good
afternoon,
Martha.
Richard, you read this story that was published today, and it really paints a very cozy relationship between the administration and Al Sharpton, saying that he frequently texts with Valerie Jarrett and with Eric Holder, and that they feel good about him being their eyes and ears on the ground in Ferguson, Missouri. What do you think about that?
Listen, I don't accept the premise of this story at all, Martha, and here's why. Because I think the president was getting more than just talking to Al Sharpton. He was talking to the governor. He was talking to congressmen. On top of that, he sent his top law enforcement officer to the region to create some sort of stability and some sort of White House response. So to say that he just relied on Al Sharpton's eyes, I don't think that's a true story at all. I think he relied on a lot of eyes and a lot of intelligence, not to mention the fact the FBI was on the ground, the Justice Department was already on the ground. We had trained investigators there. So just to say he was using one person's information just needs to be a little bit of a falsehood for me.
It's interesting because, President Obama really distanced himself before the 2008 election from Al Sharpton. And at that point, he very much wanted, Al Sharpton wanted, to have that relationship and that connection with this up-and-coming, future first black president of the United States. So, and this is also a president who said, we're not a black America, we're not a white America, we're the United States of America. And he tried to, as I said, distance himself from this more racially divisive kind of talk. So, Dana, why would he be so much more comfortable with this relationship now, it appears?
Martha, I'm not quite so sure. I'm not even sure what Al Sharpton is doing there, frankly, because we have, St. Louis is my hometown, and I have family and friends who are in Ferguson. And there are a number of actual reverends that don't have phantom flocks. I don't know, maybe he's acting as first snitch. I'm not quite sure. There are a number of better leaders. You have Antonio French, who could be eyes and ears. You have Maria Chappelle-Nadal, who could be eyes and ears. Now, there are people who could reach out to the White House and could do a better job than Al Sharpton, I think. I'm not quite so sure. Everywhere he goes, he incites. But I will have to say, Martha, I will say this. He has been more moderately refrained in his rhetoric than he has been in the past. Maybe it's because this week is the 20th anniversary of the Crown Heights riots. I'm not quite so sure, but it is good to see that.
I think back to the Al Sharpton of the, 80s in New York, the Tawana Brawley case. I think we have, a picture of Al Sharpton then and now. And, everybody is entitled to change their image if they want. I mean, that was he was convicted of defamation in that case. And then you have the Duke case that he stuck up for the woman who claimed that she was raped, and that was proven to be not true. He also was close to Trayvon Martin's family. That trial did not end up going their way. I wonder, because of this track record, Richard, why, frankly, this family would want him to be involved at all.
Well, listen, I think, you could pick out the wins and losses from the Reverend's record if you want to. You could also talk about how he was integral in the Central Park Five, who were found guilty and then found innocent by the New York corrections, by the New York judges and whatnot. But that, to me, doesn't speak to the facts that we're talking about in this particular case with Mike Brown. At the end of the day, this young man was unarmed. He was shot 6 times by a police officer. I think what the family is demanding and what the Reverend's demanding and what all those protesters in Ferguson are demanding is a trial. Let's bring this officer to trial. Let's put the facts out. Let's hear what really happened, and let's truly get justice for Michael Brown.
That's actually separate from what we're talking about right now, because what we're talking about right now is whether or not this is a good representative for the White House in terms of having this relationship that, according to this article, he is very close to the members of the administration. And I wonder if that is helpful, is what I'm saying, because, in the past, he has been extremely divisive. And, so where's the Martin Luther King? I mean, where is the sort of overarching figure that everyone can look to and say, this is leadership, this brings us together, this is what we need? Where is that?
But look, Martha, I think the truth of the matter is this. When Martin Luther King was alive during the marches of 1963, he was seen as a divisive figure by a lot of people in America. But it doesn't speak to what the issue is here. I think the president goes to more than one advisor when it comes to Ferguson. He sends his top law enforcement officer to the region, not to mention the fact he has 40 FBI agents.
Reporters.
What, Dana? Go ahead.
Eric Holder's been persecuting reporters. If we're going to sit here and talk about a standard bearer, Eric Holder's the last person that I would consider as a standard bearer of justice. People want justice.
Who would you suggest he send?
But I find it ironic. Well, you know what? First off, why don't we let the state of Missouri Missouri, as soon as Jay Nixon
Well,
and the Missouri Democrat
clearly
Party
the
get
state
it
of
together,
Missouri can't handle
maybe
it.
handle
The
it a little
Ferguson
bit.
Police
So you're gonna
Department
have
can't
Eric
handle
Holder,
it. The
who
St.
get a
Louis
pass
Police
for the
Department
nuclear
can't
weapon
handle it,
bar
and neither can the governor.
Dana,
Richard, you're going to have Eric Holder who walked guns across the border in Mexico. You're going to have
Here we go.
Eric
Here we
Holder,
go. That's
who
a
has
false
been,
equivalent.
Yeah, what?
Let's
We're
stay
talking
focused
about
on the
Michael
issue at
Brown.
hand,
Testament to
which
his
is, hold
character,
on.
Richard.
Hold on, Dana. Hold on, Richard. I want to stay focused here because, you know, the discussion is about this article that surfaced today. Richard, you're saying that you think that it's okay that Al Sharpton is involved and has this very close relationship, it seems, with the administration, you know, has everybody's number on speed dial and is able to text them at a moment's notice. You feel like he is a good representative and a good influence on this whole process, Richard? Are you comfortable with him being that involved, is the question?
No, I think what I'm saying here, Martha, is he's not the only person that's talking
Yeah,
to
but
the
you're not
administration
answering my
about what's
question.
happening
My question
in
is,
Ferguson.
do you think he is a positive
As
or a
one of the
negative in
advisors
terms
for
of being
the
close to the
president,
administration on this?
As one of the advisors for the president, I think that he provides counsel to the president on issues like this,
So
like
you're
a lot of
good
other
with it.
individuals
You're fine
do.
with that.
And I think the president can get counsel from who he wants to get counsel from.
All right, he's fine with that. So, Dana, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out, at what point does Al Sharpton become too politically toxic to be around political figures? This is the guy who was behind Tawana Brawley. This is the guy who was behind Freddie's Fashion Mart. This is the guy who was behind the Crown, who was involved in helping to incite the Crown Heights riots. I mean, at what point do people kind of step away from Al Sharpton and say, you know what, this guy's a horrible track record. He promised to go back to Florida and help with the Stand Your Ground law. Richard, has he gone back to Florida? Has he gotten involved?
Yes,
really?
he was in Miami. He was in Miami last
He's gotten involved with the state legislature. Give me some legislation.
Listen,
that
Dana, at
clearly
at the end of the day, Dana, you could sit. Listen, at the end of the day, Dana, you could sit here and you could debate one or two events from the track. At the end of the day, this is about justice for Michael Brown, and we all know it.
Thank you. And that is what's most important. And I think that does require some leadership that everybody can respect and look up to in this situation. Thank you very much, both of you, for being here tonight.